Everybody, this is DJ the Money Coach coming to you in the beautiful Destin, Florida. And I just got back from amazing world tour. Well, it's not a world tour, but in essence, it could be a world tour with the Classic Climb Tour. Shout out to Erica Williams with the Classic Climb Tour and ATL. Shout out to Tim Jackson. Shout out to Andre Hackett. Shout out to Todd the Billionaire. Shout out to James King. Shout out to all my friends who did an amazing speaking job and sharing the wealth of freedom to people. And all it takes is 4 words that you got to do. They're dirty little words. The first one is discipline. The second one is accountability. The third one is plug into a system that's successful. And the fourth one is do the work. And when you do that, you can achieve the pom-pom lifestyle, which is plenty of money, peace of mind. And then you can come join us on the beaches of the World Club. So check this out. Literally, I was just in the ATL last night speaking on stage with my friends. And now, because I took the time to build the ABCs of wealth, to achieve the common sense strategy to achieve an American dream, I now have this. Look at that. Yeah, man. Isn't that something? So you can have this too. But let me tell you a little tip. You have to master the hard things in life while you're young, and life gets easier. You master the easy things in life, and life gets hard as hell, almost impossible to live the older you get. So I'm going to say that again. Master the hard things in life when you're young, and life gets easier, and it gets like this for you for the rest of your life. That's what I'm talking about. So you can have it too. All you got to do is come join us. And it's real simple. I wrote this book in 20 years of success. And it's a common sense strategy of achieving the American dream. And you too can come out here and enjoy this amazing lifestyle. So if you want to do that, get this book right now below, The ABCs of Wealth, the common sense strategy of achieving American dream. It's 20 years in the making to help you achieve the pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And you can come join us on the beaches of the World Club. I'm DJ the Money Coach. I'll see you on the beaches of the world because you deserve it, have it as well. And all you got to do is achieve 4 dirty little words: discipline, accountability, plug into the system, and go to work. And you too can have the pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind. Come join us on the beaches of the World Club. So hit that link below. The first 10 people to get the book, The ABCs of Wealth, the common sense strategy to achieve an American dream, you get an autographed copy. And I'll even give you a 10-minute complimentary consultation for the first 10 because that's the kind of guy I am to help you achieve the American dream. I'll see you next time.
Okay. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy, brought to you by the 7 Spheres of Money. Thank you for joining us and locking in with us and spending your Thursday night with us if you're watching live. And before we start the show, go ahead and like that video, share it, and help us to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by subscribing to the 7 Spheres of Money on YouTube, so we can spread this gospel of financial freedom and also bring you this real and this raw talk coming from real Black men and real Black women. So you see the title in the video. We're talking about Black leadership and cancel culture. DJ came with this topic, so I was tossing it around in my head, seeing, trying to think about where we're going to go with it. But I'm down for the surprise to see what this conversation is going to bring about. So I'm going to toss it over to DJ so he can introduce this topic and give you his thoughts his thought process when he came up with this topic. So what's up, DJ? And then you can also introduce our guest panelists.
Absolutely. What's going on, everybody out there? This is DJ the Money Coach. And yeah, man, we're excited because the name of this show is Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. And these people on this platform have 4 things in common. Number 1, they're real black men, unapologetically. Number 2, they are free. They're 100% authentic themselves. Number 3, they are leaders. And number 4, we have generational communication, which we don't find in the real world. That is the nucleus and the conscious mindset of this program. So before I introduce the topic, I want to introduce our new fill-in guest, and y'all gonna love this guy. He's a dynamo, without a doubt. Reminds me of myself when I was his young age, even though I think I look younger than him, but it's all good, So this is Mr. Tim Jackson, real dope. Tim Jackson, as he says, because this is an adult show. Get the fuck out of debt. That's his mantra, but I ain't gonna steal it from him. I just did. But Tim is amazing. He's retired, at the young age of 38. That's right. He's a strong family man, a strong father. He's a committed soldier to helping our community, lift ourselves up out of the doldrums of BS. And so it's great to have another winner on the show. Tim, what's going on, brother? And welcome to the show. And thanks for, being a special guest. But we know this is going to become a permanent spot for you on the team, brother.
Well, thank you so much for having me, DJ Nick. It's always a pleasure to chop it up with you guys. I'm excited about tonight's show. I really love the content that we're going to be talking about because, this council culture is something serious. And, we live in a world where if you don't agree with me, you don't deserve to have an opinion. You just need to go away, right? And so, that is specifically detrimental to the impact that Black men are allowed to have on their communities, because oftentimes we may not necessarily agree with what the masses are saying, but everyone's coming at us from every angle, including our own. So I really, really follow this cancel culture. I always joke and tell people I can't be canceled because I own my own shit and I don't have debt. So when you think about cancel culture as a whole, it essentially is designed and created to cripple you economically, to put you in a position where you can't earn a dollar, particularly from the masses, if you will. But I always tell people, I can't be canceled. If you don't like me, if you want me to go away, I'll be fine, right? You can't take away my ability to earn a dollar. And more people need to put themselves in that position. But more importantly, we got to learn how to have dialogue without you feeling some kind of way and without you feeling like you need to destroy me because we don't agree with one another. So I'm digging this subject matter. I can't wait to dive in tonight.
Man, that's the proper alley-oop to talk about Black leadership in a cancel society. And the subtitle, which Nick probably didn't get the memo from me, is Father to Son.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Father to Son. Okay?
Father to
so I want
son.
y'all to strap on y'all hard hats, and I want y'all to get ready to dive in because everything's going to be available on today's show. Because the irony is that we didn't used to be that way back in the day. And now we're looking at a culture that's being seen through the lens of 2 spectrums that aren't ours. Number 1 is being seen through a spectrum of a white perspective that we try to adhere to, and then we try to accommodate their perspective. That's not. I don't do that. Period. Number 2, from the power structure, I want y'all to hear me now. From the power structure, they have purposely, when I say they, I mean the institution, okay? So whoever you call the institution that you get your check from, that's who I'm talking about. If it ain't from the PWI and if from the Black institution in the church, that's who I'm talking about, okay? They purposely have decided that they're going to allow the structure that God ordained
Now, I don't give a damn who your God is. Okay? Your God could be Jesus Christ. It could be Buddha. It could be Allah. It could be whomever. Yahshua, Yahweh. But if you don't acknowledge that there's a God and you don't acknowledge that there's a structure, then you are already off the rails. So what this culture has decided to do, specifically and purposely for the past 4 decades, is to eradicate the black man from the leadership position in the home and put the black woman at the top of the leadership chart. Now, I hear you. If you're a black woman, you watching this, you got a whole bunch of degrees, God bless you. But guess what? When God brought you on this planet, he brought you to be a completer, not a competer. He didn't say don't get educated, because he did write Proverbs 31, which is Proverbs 31 woman who actually creates wealth, is educated, but her number one job is to create the number one commodity on the planet, which is raise human beings. So when that system decided to take the black woman and give her power in the corporate structure, and she started to administer that power, it was hard for her to come home and take leadership and direction from the leader that God ordained. So now there's a natural conflict. So y'all probably ain't get that. And I hear you liberals and you feminists and you feminazis and all that shit. Just like Tim said, you can't cancel me because I own my own shit. See, when you got assets, you're debt free, and you got income, and you live beneath your means, ain't nothing you can say to me that's gonna get me off my spot. Do I go out on these platforms and pursue the fire? No, I don't. But if you bring it to my table, I'm gonna extinguish it big time. So here's what I want to say to you, and we forget history. So I'm gonna start off and tee it up where I'm gonna actually support a white coach, Chip Kelly. I mean, not Chip Kelly. What's Kelly from Notre Dame? What's his first name? Brian Kelly is Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly. So Notre Dame played a great game, and they should have lost, but they won. And so again, they roll out, the feminist society and the PC reporter, and she asked him, "Hey, Brian, man, what'd you think about that game?" He said, "You know what? We should have been executed because we didn't execute." And since she didn't have a reference to the actual statement that he made, now he fumbled the joke, which if you knew sports, this goes back to Jim McKay, who used to be the head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they first came into the league, and they were like 1-16, and they were like the misfits. You know what I'm saying? And Jim McKay said back in '76, a reporter came up and said, "Man, y'all lacked execution." He said, "You know what? I agree. We should execute them all." It was a joke. But what did they do? They let the Twitter world dictate to them, "Oh, man, he's talking about," and they had an event where a young man got electrocuted up on the high tower at Notre Dame like 3-4 years ago. So now you can't even place a joke, and you don't even have the context. So you're automatically trying to eliminate this guy because he's trying to show a little bit of humor and say that, "Know what? We won, but we should have been taking care of that business." And so immediately, all these losers, ESPN, Twitter, and everything, they going after him, and they don't even know the content or the context on which he said. And then the ones that did, Chris Fowler, who's been with ESPN for like 30 years. I was following him back when ESPN, see, a lot of people, if you don't know your history, it will repeat itself. Give you a little, quick tip and lesson on sports. The entire sports programming network is what ESPN is. They started in 1979. Chris Fowler has been with ESPN since the early 80s. He started right out of college in his 20s, and he knew the context and the reference point that Brian Kelly was referencing, and he had the chance to just, hey, you know what, man, he didn't say the joke right, and he could have just passed it off, and he ain't got to worry about security. But he allowed the Twitter world and the ESPN executives to make something out of nothing. And so he lacked a spine as a man. He could extinguish that right away. And all that did was light up the whole Twitter world, all this bull crap. You got nothing. But at the same time, check it out. Same time, here's real talk. And I don't care if you don't agree with me, because again, you can't cancel me. And then I'm going to throw it up to the fellas, and then we're going to dive in and get it rocking. Okay? So this is my monologue. All right? At the same time, them same fuck-ups on these social mediums, you don't hear them say a damn word about the 70, it's between 40 to 50 million abortions that have taken place in our community. If you agree with it or you don't, they don't even have the decency to fight for the life. And yep, a small percentage of the abortions happen because somebody got raped, molested, etc. Hey, I agree with it. And here's my what they call it when you have an affiliation with something. So you let them know what's your piece of the pie you like tied into. So I'm gonna be real with you. I've been involved in 2 abortions. One I agreed to do when I was in college. And my girlfriend at the time, she was a senior in high school. I was a freshman in college. And we agreed that if we accidentally, unresponsible, got pregnant, we weren't going to ruin our college careers and we would terminate life. So that happened. And we both had made the decision. And right after that happened, dude, I had the worst feeling in my life. Then I fast forward about 10 years later, and I vowed to myself I would never do that again. I'm engaged to this doctor, and she gets pregnant, and she's ready to do her thing. And I'm like, hey, we having this baby. I don't care if we're not going to be together, but we having this baby. But she invoked Roe versus Wade, or whatever the rule is. It's my body. I get to do whatever I want with it. And now we're unequally yoked. She went and got a termination. And right there, I terminated that relationship because I said, now I knew what I did wrong the first time. I'm not going to terminate this baby this time. And soon as it is identified as a fetus, it's living. I don't care what you think. I had the responsibility I was willing to take hold of. So at that point, guess what? We went to Planned Parenthood. And guess what Planned Parenthood headquarters in? Right in the fucking hood. So because we abdicate our role as men, we allow these silly things when somebody says something in the sports world, but the real stuff, when you got these young kids out here who don't know no better, and they have an unplanned sex and they don't know the repercussions of it, they immediately go and get a quick fix. They go take the pill, get the abortion, and they just put out life. So why aren't we talking about that in this cancel culture? You know why? Because guess what? Just like Tim said, if you getting a check from somebody else, or you doing business with somebody else, and this is where I'm gonna end. Guess what Biden just said? He's mandating that every person that works in corporate America gotta be vaccinated. That's a violation of your personal rights. He's telling corporate America from the government, if you're going to work in corporate America, you're going to get vaccinated to keep your job, or you're going to get tested a bajillion times for you to get your job. So that's why this topic, Black leadership in the cancel culture society, is so important, because from a father to a son, I tell my 2 sons, the only way somebody can tell you what to do, if you work for them and you got debt and you got no other options, and then you got to be their servant. Because in BK1, the Bible, God says, owe no debt to no man, only your love. So with that, I'm going to throw it out to the fray. And whoever want to chime in, let's chop it up and go get it. That's right. Ron over there laughed because he knows me. You know me, 20-something plus years. I ain't holding back. This is the show, baby. Let's go get it.
Look, all I know is I walked on and got on. I was like, Dale he's in his pocket. Yeah, he dropping them gems and super passionate. So you hit a bunch. So I'm not even sure where to start. But
Wherever you want to, brother, unpack it. And this is Tim Jackson. You introduce this to Tim Jackson. He's an amazing guy that's been on tour, and he's a fireball just like us.
Right on, man. I love that. So I'm gonna start with the abortion, because that's funny, because I was talking to someone about that today, and they were pro-life, but still at the same time somewhere, on the fence, because she was really concerned about terminating life, but at the same time she thought it was important that a woman, hold the responsibility of her own body and her future. And I was just sitting back and saying to myself, man, I really do believe that depends on the circumstance. And I hate for it to be that simple, but it really does depend on the circumstance. Because like you said, Del, you could be very young and now have the responsibility of bringing in a child. And let's assume, you don't have anyone in your household to help you raise the child. Now you're 15, 16, 17 years old, still in high school, got the responsibility of raising a child. Are you ready for that? And then I think about the economics too, because I'm saying in my mind, you're probably not really ready to raise a child, because at such a young age, you're still slightly immature. You probably don't have a career. You're probably working a job, right? Getting paid by the hour, which means you have to be at the job to actually earn a wage. But at the same time, you got to balance raising a child. So no, you're right. I don't think you're ready for that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we can prevent that from happening, right? Because there's birth control, right? You've got condoms, that someone can wear. So at the same time, I do believe it's an easy way out, but at the same time, it's probably the best decision that needs to be made between the two people, that actually created the child, and ultimately on the woman, because she bears the responsibility of carrying it. And then unfortunately, in some cultures, really raising that child because of absentee fathers. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if she chooses not to have that child, I think I would support that. And then I'm gonna leave you with this thought, because I'm gonna get back to the economics. Like, let's assume that she chooses pro-life. Now she takes on the burden, financial, sociological, economic, of raising that child, right? It's impossible for her to do that unless she comes from a wealthy household, right? So then who helps subsidize her lifestyle? It's the four faces you see on this screen through public assistance, right? Whatever form that looks like. It could be food stamps, it could be subsidized housing. Like, we're responsible for that. You understand? So for me, I understand why someone would choose abortion, because of all of those extenuating circumstances. And I personally wouldn't judge that person for doing something like that, because that was my opinion today. I would not judge a person for their future, at the same time sacrificing life. I don't think I could judge a person for that, man. I really don't think so.
Yeah, we're not going to place any judgment on anybody. So let me point a case to you. I wouldn't be here personally if my mother made that selection. My mother had had my sister at 16. Yeah. Had me at 18 and a half, living in the projects. Yeah. But you know what? Somehow, some way, she figured it out. Yeah. And the community came together, even though she made bad decisions. Yeah. And now there's been a blessing, because we broke the actual pathology of our family with getting on the right pathway. So I'm going to stop with that. We're going to let Tim chime in, and Nick right after this break. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. We'll be right back after this word from our sponsors. people challenge me, and you know what winners do? We accept the challenge. I've been known as DJ Money Coach for like 12 years, but I never branded it or anything. So I said, you know what? We're going to start DJ Money Coach LLC. So let me show you. We invested $12,500 in April, and we only made $3 grand in June. Lost almost 10 G's. Most of y'all would have quit. But guess what? This was my 12th company. I already had the blueprint, I already had the system. So I knew if I had the niche, the niche, I could succeed. And guess what? We rode to the hole. These are facts. Nick, did we do it? I had a new team put on, and they never been down that road because they've been watching YouTube and Facebook and IG. As soon as we didn't score in June, in July, they got off the boat. Nick was the wise one. This is DJ the Money Coach coming at you. Guess what? 1 year ago, we came on Erica Williams' Classy Climb, and over 80 people in less than 72 hours invested in our Family Finance 101 course. And over the past 12 months, thousands of people have come through a variety of exclusive programs on the Erica Williams platform. And you know what we want to do? We want to thank you and reward you for actually participating in the programs to get yourself consumer debt free, increase your credit score to 800, invest in business, real estate, and leverage the tax laws. And the only way to do that is give you a live webinar. That's right, the Weatherproof Yourself to Wealth webinar that will prevent the winter from coming in your house. In addition to that, I'm going to give you my brand new book that's launching next week. In addition to that, we're going to give you a free ticket to the lucky winner to the actual conference. In addition to that bonus, I'm going to give you a complimentary consultation with DJ the Money Coach, Melvin Hobson, our registered investment advisor, and James Lane, our CPA, who's done over billions of dollars of certified audit-proof tax returns and help people pay zero taxes on dividend distributions and $80,000 or less profits. Would you like to take advantage of that? Absolutely. And guess what? You'll get over $10,000 worth of services and products for less than $200. That's right. But that's for the first 25 people to hit this link right now, and you can come join us live in the webinar and enjoy a pom-pom lifestyle with DJ the Money Coach. I'll see you soon in the webinar. Hit that link below. All right. Welcome back. You're watching Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. And we tearing up today's topic, which is a crucial topic: Black leadership in the cancel culture society, father to son. So what say you, Tim? What's your perspective on what we just espoused right before the spot? And, you know, give it to us real, man. Tell us and talk to us, brother.
Well, you know, my opinion on that topic is kind of a different opinion. You know, I really don't involve myself in giving an opinion on it because I feel like I've never experienced that. I've never had to make that decision. Others have, right? But I kind of live by the mantra of, you know, what you eat don't make me shit, so to speak, right? I try not to give too much strong opinions. Like, I don't care about getting counsel when it comes to certain things, but I just don't really have the background or knowledge about that opinion at all. And, you know, it's one of those topics where whether you're for or against it, people are going to hate you. If you're for it, there's going to be people that say, oh, you ain't this, you shouldn't be deciding for me, yada, yada, yada. If you're against it, there's going to be people saying, you see what I'm saying? And so for me, I just kind of fall back and observe and just, I really don't have an opinion on it, to be honest with you. What I do have an opinion on is the fact that we can't have conversations or dialogues about anything without a person feeling like someone's going to counsel them, right? And so, you know, I say a lot of provocative things when it comes to how Black men are portrayed. I say a lot of provocative things when it comes to, you know, how we should deal with things in society. I'm not a fan of cancel culture, especially when it comes to things like race and religion and things like that. I feel like people need to be held accountable for the things that they do against me. Like, if you're doing something that's specifically causing me to be systemically impacted or to be impacted in a certain kind of way, then you need to be you need to atone for that. That makes any sense. I've just never really had an opinion on that particular subject. And I know that may sound like I'm copping out,
Oh, no,
but
no.
I don't. You know, I've
Not at all.
heard people talk about it a bunch of
Absolutely
times,
not.
and I haven't put enough thought into it because it hasn't impacted me yet. You know,
Exactly.
I've gotten,
And that's the difference. Yeah, it's not personal. So to your point, it's hard for you to really form an opinion, right?
it's hard for me to form an opinion.
Yeah. So
Right.
to your point,
You know
it's
what,
easier
I
to
have
say
such-
in theory, here's what I would do, but not having experienced that, it's tough for you to say what you would actually do in that situation. Yeah.
You know, I mentor a lot of guys. I grew up in the hood, you know, for lack of better words. I don't like using that term too much, but I grew up in an area, you know, Pleasant Grove was where I grew up in Dallas, and the name sounds really nice, right? But some of your best first 48 episodes have come out of, you know, Pleasant Grove. And, you know, I was at the barbershop today talking to one of my peers, and he said something to me that I've known this guy for 25 years. He said, Tim, you know, we talk about mentoring because I operate a mentoring program. My book, Real Dope, an in-depth comparison between real estate and the dope game, talks about, you know, comparing real estate sales to drug sales and how if you can sell dope, you can sell houses, right? Like I grew up in that environment. Well, we were talking about, you know, he's writing his book and he said something to me that was real. He said, a lot of people get on records and rap about killing people, but they don't really know what it's like to kill someone until they've actually killed someone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because when you've actually killed someone, you're not gonna get on a record and rap about it. You know what I'm saying? As
Absolutely.
fluidly as people do it. He said, you know, some of the things that I've done in my life, I don't even like to think about, let alone talk about, let alone relive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when he said that, it was deep. Everybody was just like, man, that's real. Like until you've actually had to kill somebody,
Yeah.
you can't really speak on what you think it's going to be like to kill somebody.
Absolutely.
For entertainment purposes, that's what the rap game is about. You know, not shitting on the rap game. I'm just giving that example.
You know what?
I grew up more closer to the streets than I did to the politics of, you know, Roe v. Wade. I just over time have learned if it's not something that I really know about, I kind of fall back and observe because people have different opinions. And I've heard every side of the argument. When I took a women's studies class in college, like even in the paper I wrote, it was just like, I don't have an opinion because I haven't experienced it. And whoever has an opinion, that's their right. But
yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It changes based upon the circumstance, which is why I find it really difficult to have conversations with people about religion and politics because they are so dug in, right? They are so dug in. I tell people this all the time. Most of us have had the good fortune of maybe working in a professional environment. And my guess is in that professional environment, there were probably people you didn't like, right? That there were probably people that you didn't socialize with outside of those four walls. However, you were able to sit in a conversation, have a conversation about whatever the common goal was and find some happy median, right? Why? Because we were really focused on, in the conversation for corporate America, whatever our annual target was, right? So we were all narrowly focused on whatever that goal was. And despite our differences, we were able to set those things aside and kind of figure out what made sense for the collective. But somehow we are unable to transfer that to our personal lives. I just don't quite understand it. Because to your point, Tim, both sides are 100% right, depending on the circumstance.
And it can be contradictory. You know, even today I was reading a headline. I'm an independent voter. And so I actually serve, what I serve on here in Dallas is it's technically not a political position. It's an appointment, but it's a political position, right? And I'm an independent voter. So I tend to have an opinion about both sides, right? You know, I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the left all the time, and I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the right. I'm right in the middle on issues, right? But like you said, to your point, you can't have conversations about religion and politics because politics is religion now.
Yeah,
it's literally like, it's, in my opinion, politics has become stronger than religion.
Yeah.
Right. And some of the people who are, I use devil's advocate because I like to pose certain questions. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a local politician here, and she's really been, you know, voicing her opinion about the laws that they have in Texas, you know, with early termination, you know, with everything that's going on right now. So she's been very vocal, and we have conversations with each other, and I just listen to her, right?
Yeah.
And I sent her a news article today about, you know, the news that President Biden is requiring federal members of the federal government to take, you know, that thing. I don't want to get us dinged, right? And whether you agree with it or not, it's becoming a requirement. And so her thing is she's okay with that, but she's not okay, right? And so my thing is, well, just playing devil's advocate, right?
So wait a minute. So is she pro-life?
That's hypocritical.
She's against some of the laws that are being put in place to combat R.B. Wade.
Right, to reverse it.
But she's perfectly fine with the mandatory, you know, thing that they want us to get.
Experimental.
Yeah, right.
You know,
and so again,
man.
They're all, you know, I ain't trying to get us dinged. I don't want them to have that disclaimer up there, but my thing is this,
experimental. Do you honestly think every drug that they put in our body has been fully vetted?
I mean, listen, I don't have an opinion on that either. To be honest, I was in the military. Right? Mm-hmm. I can remember taking the anthrax shot, and it sat on my arm for 4 days.
Yeah.
Right? Like we got injected with everything, right? So I don't have a fear of any of this stuff.
Right. The military owned you at that point. So that's different.
I was literally about to say that, right? We didn't have a choice. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I don't have any fears about anything. And I understand exactly, I get every side of that argument, Ross, you know. Well, you don't know what's this. I'm not even arguing that at all. I just play devil's advocate with this friend to say, well, you're perfectly fine with that being mandated, but then you have an argument about something else being controlled. And I said, that's why I stay out of these arguments, because it's really ambiguous. It's based on what Ross said, how you're feeling, how it impacts you, what you've been through. And for me, when it comes to either or, my really good friend that I was in the military with, his mother passed away, her grandmother passed away recently because she got sick, right? Yeah. And so it convicted him to go, you know, take that thing, right?
Right.
Right? Just saying,
why is that taboo all of a sudden? Am I missing something?
I'll say it for you, the vaccination.
No, I'm just teasing so they won't mess up the algorithm. You know, I study a lot of marketing, Ron. I said Ross, I meant Ron. And what happens if you say certain words, they mess up your algorithm, or they add. You know, so I'm not trying to mess up the algorithm, right? I'm being funny in the process too, right?
I appreciate you looking out.
I'm looking out, man. You know, you throw up the oop, I'm gonna catch it, right?
That's what we love when we get the new ones on. Then we get them
third DJ. I'm trying to bunch you home, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Tim, because again, you're in the military, so we already know that's a different type of culture.
He's no longer in the military.
He was in the military, so we know that's a different type of culture, right?
And so, I don't see the president as a president. I look at the president as a commander in chief. I've never looked at a president how everyone else looks at him.
Because that's how they condition you to believe
that's a good word for it.
Yes.
Yeah. Other word is indoctrination.
See, I wouldn't say that.
Even better word.
Yeah. And then the other word is propaganda to the indoctrination, to the fearmonger.
We couldn't have an opinion openly about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So here's what I would say about that. Because again, it's funny that we're talking about the vaccine, obviously, because it's the latest news. It's the headlines, right? Yeah. So same thing. Much like you said, Tim, I've seen both sides of it. And when it personally impacted me, meaning, unfortunately, I lost my uncle recently to COVID, right? I mean, I had already taken a serious deal, and you know this because my wife is in human resources, right? So she is ultra sensitive to it because she receives all the phone calls around the COVID. So then you layer in losing someone in your family very close to me, then you start to say, okay, wait a minute, I need to think about this thing slightly different, right? Like before I was cautious, I'm going to be even more cautious because you don't know how it's going to impact other people. Like, that's the one thing I say. I say, look, you may be in great health, not to say that that has anything to do with it, and you may be asymptomatic, so you've got it and don't have any of the symptoms, right? But the reality is you're around your family, elderly people, and unfortunately, let's say that you pass it on to them, they may not be able to recover like we will, right? So that's always in the back of my mind. So then I say to myself, okay, cool. So if someone's telling me in this culture, and it happens to be the government, that this is something we have to do, then I'm gonna just go ahead and sign up for it. It's kind of like, hey, if I'm telling you you've got to wear a tie, a uniform, or something to work, then I know in order for me to stay here and be successful in this environment, then when in Rome, do what the Romans do.
And
right?
that's 100% your right and your opinion, right?
Yes.
And
it's
it's
right.
not,
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah. And what's right for you may not be right for somebody else.
Right.
And that's cool. But what happens too often, Ron, is that what I see a lot, especially on social media, is if you were to make a post like that,
yeah,
half of the people on your feed will be like, hey man, Ron, you're right. And then the other half people like, Ron's a fucking idiot. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
that goes back to the politics.
Can't the man have his own preference, right?
Yes. Yes.
So why are we counseling you? Because that's what you wish. It's on you.
Well, here's why we cancel that, because I don't want to get derailed and get caught up, because we weren't coming here to talk about the vaccination. We weren't coming here to talk about abortion. What this leads back to is, again, the leadership or the lack of leadership.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm saying. You have sons. I have sons. Ron has daughters. Okay. So let me just bring this full circle for everybody. So at this point in society, this medium that we're on has become George Orwell, 1984. Okay. And once you go back, if you haven't read, 1984 by George Orwell, you need to go read it. Okay. So we're putting out here, fear without doing all the research. And then number two, follow the money. 99% of the stuff that happens on these mediums, which make money and take control of society, is generated because of money. What sells most, positive or negative?
Oh, negative, hands down.
Negative always sells more. Absolutely. Fear sells more.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter what it is. Don't miss out. Fear missing
emanates from negativity, because if you're looking at everything positively, even when you're in a bad situation, you can come out from under that. My thought process growing up, hey, I already saw that when my mom was a single parent and we were in the worst situation in a 1-bedroom apartment, rat infested, mom got divorced, only thing we could do is go up. Only thing worse than that was death. So at that point, everything was sunshine, baby. You know what I'm saying? So one of the good things growing up in an urban or impoverished community is that you build that intestinal fortitude, and you're not thin-skinned. You're not soft. And you built for this game. Okay? So when you get these people who are stimulated and incentivized to promote an agenda for people to make money, now who's telling the truth? Now you got children that say, I don't even, depend, and I don't even count the truth. So if you talk to somebody like that and they talk about they don't have a reference of the truth, where can you stand on the same ground with them? Getting back to the, conversation about, Kelly, the coach, if they done their research and we had the freedom to actually just have a little, humor in society without everybody trying to point the finger in order to promote some agenda that got nothing to do with us. And like you said, Tim, independent. How can you be independent? You got to be financially free. Real talk.
And I think for myself too, I believe
I'm an independent voter too, because guess what? The Republicans or the Democrats, if they ain't lined up with my God, my family, and my business, I'm not rolling to the hole with them. It's just that simple. And guess what I can do right now? If you don't like this show, guess what your option is? Turn it the fuck off.
But everybody doesn't think like that. Like, but we
got to instill that into our sons, though.
We have to.
You know what I'm saying?
I tell my son that. You met my son, right?
Absolutely.
I get him to
William,
understand.
that's one of my new heroes.
You know, I get him to understand, to think for yourself. Like, you know, and I reference everybody here, you know, you have to do what's best for you. You have to do what's best for your situation. And it's okay to feel how you feel. Like, I was always taught, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever you believe is your truth, then follow your truth. Don't sit around 10, 15, 20 years following someone else's truth that's not even relevant to your life. You know what I'm saying? And too often, our boys aren't taught that. Our boys are taught to be followers of whatever other people feel like they should do for their lives, right? No, you do what's best for your specific life. And if a person has a problem with it, then that's just their problem, right? Put yourself in a position where even if they do have a problem, or even if they do question it, it's not going to do anything to you, because that's just their opinion. And what I've learned, DJ and Nick and Ron, is that people, they forget really fast what they're mad about, because tomorrow there's going to be something else for us to be mad about, right? Absolutely. You know, I always use the Chris Brown analogy.
They're sheeple. They're being programmed, and they allow themselves to be programmed. As we said, the indoctrination, right?
Yeah.
How do you get indoctrinated? You know what you do? You know that the average child, by the time 18, they see over 2 million commercials. So think about this. And this is where we got to have responsibility and leadership. If I know I grew up in an environment that was negative and I was able to make it out, I can't assume that my child is going to have the same strength to make it out when they don't have to deal with the tough stuff, because we already been through it. So we want to give them a better way of life. You feel me? So if I know, and this is a lame excuse in our community, oh man, if you listen to the videos and listen to the music, it don't make you act that way. But guess what, dum-dum? They are programming you. Here's what you got to know scientifically. Anything that goes in the brain can never go out. It can just be diluted. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't be called programs. See, I got a degree in broadcast journalism and television production. And one of the parts of our junior class to get our actual degree in our curriculum was actually doing storyboards, where they would say, hey, sit down, draw this storyboard, tell me what you want the audience to do, how you want them to react. Why do you think that they have banned subliminal messages in commercials? Because of that. So if you think that you're strong enough, you in the car, you rocking, you like that beat. It ain't the lyrics, it's the beat that's making you do stuff. So you cool with it, but your child, 5, 6 years of age, now they getting it, now they out and they doing it. And you're like, well, what happened? Same thing. If you shut that down, I'm not saying you have to, but if you played some positive information, overloaded their synapses with positive information, it would be stronger for them to offset the stuff when they get into public society. But we always say, oh, that didn't make him go shoot up at Columbine. That didn't make him go do. Well, tell me how much of that stuff he was listening to, and tell me the people he was around doing the same thing. So he had herd mentality. And that's where the lack of Black leadership comes in our house, because when you have the chance, and I'm going to just make it real. So my son, he's gotten off to a slow start in school because he got caught up playing a little bit too much video games. And so I said, look, man, check this out. I said, don't live on your laurels because you're highly talented and you're very smart. And you think because last year you got behind and you were able to get ahead and finish with straight A's, you ain't going to keep ahead of doing that, brother. So we're going to nip that in the bud right now. So me and mom sat down and studied all the way last night to the early morning to help him pass his chemistry exam, right? And then my private school students, my daughter, my youngest daughter, I get a note from the headmaster. She didn't hand in her homework the last 2 days, unbeknownst to me. And I'm paying a grip for her to go to this private school, right? So she's 8 years old. Ron's met her. Nick's met her. I sit down with her and just give her a lesson in business 101. Here's what I did. Y'all might not like it. Y'all might do. I said, guess what? Daddy paying $14,000 to $15,000 for your private education so that you will have a better life than what you got right now. But here's the deal. If I pay this and you still come up short because you didn't apply yourself, why don't I just forget about you going here? I take that $15,000 and I buy us a couple of houses. And even though you can't read, write, or add, by the time you get 21, Dad will have $140,000 for you and you be good to go. And I just backed it out. And she was like, I said, yeah. So as a business person, and I'm sitting down talking to her at her level, and her sister. I said, so as a business person, what would you do? Would you waste $15,000 a year on something that you don't know is going to work because it's a popularity contest and the people are nice? Or would you invest in tried and true because you want to keep what you got? What would you do? And she was like, well, Daddy, I'd probably go ahead and invest in them houses.
Right.
So at that point,
yeah,
that was leadership. She had a little bit of tear come in her eye, but after I explained it to her, she came back. She said, Daddy, you know what? I apologize, Daddy. I should be doing my work. And I get it, Daddy, because you are providing for us. And if you're going to be spending your money and you ain't guaranteed I'm going to get an education, your job is to protect, provide, and pasture me. That's out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah.
But you know what most people do today? They try to be friends with their children. But if your child at 7 is a prodigy to play the piano, run the football, shoot the basketball, swing the clubs, you give them everything they want. But when it comes to the education or morals, ethics, and principles, because society says, hey, man, don't be too strong with your kid. Now, son, you step back and you got fear. No, sir. We ain't having that.
Right.
So we're going to stand on principle, not on personality. And that's what I mean in terms of Black leadership, because we got to teach our children. They're going to watch our actions. And then we got to teach them how to be treated when people are trying to, reflect their personality, their insecurities, and their beliefs on. So I tell my kids this, Tim. I said, don't bring the game to the people. But if they come on your yard, you bring it to them. I'm going to say that again. Don't bring the game to them. But if they come on our yard, you bring the game to them. And because that's public nuisance. You feel me?
Right.
We like that. And the reason why, because not the people on this show, we have the freedom financially to stand on our principles when we know it's not what we believe in. So if you haven't experienced an abortion, you're right. I agree with you. I'm going to be neutral. I'm going to be Switzerland. But if I have, and you tell me that I should follow your pattern when you ain't even had one, but you so freely to tell me what to do with my life, you now trying to be my guide at the end of the day. And then you trying to take my personal rights as a man who has earned his rights through the wars that have been fought for the freedoms in America. I'm not going to sit up there and take that, but I ain't going to bring the game to you. But if you bring it to my house, I'm going to defend at all costs, baby. What's up, preacher? Talk to us, brother.
Let it rain.
Seems like y'all already heated up in this mug, yo.
I said the same thing when I came on.
I ain't even got to bring no fire, yo. I mean, I've had consultation after consultation, man. It's just been, everybody want to call it the same daggone time, man. But I think, when I came in, we've actually talked about this before and how we have to be our children's biggest example and how they are literally following us. My background, you spare the rod, you spoil that child. Like, it is what it is. So I'm going to be that first one to be the one to check you and tell you, okay, because we came from the situation where our parents would tell us, I brought you in this world and I can take you out. That was our parents.
Well, they call it child abuse and DFS now.
Oh, no, hell no. You got to get to the phone first. I'm paying the bill. How you going to get, so with my son, who is going to be 25, I laid hands on him once. And to this day, he can tell you like it happened yesterday. I'm like, dude, you was 2 years old. Don't even be acting like I be abusing you, okay? So when it boils down to it, I did such a shock to him that he knew. Now dealing with my daughter, my 17-year-old, I have to be a little bit nicer. But I still let her know that daddy ain't gonna play. And with a lot of these times, I'm not gonna be my kid's friend, because if I'm going to be my child's friend, then they need to pay for dinner. They need to pay on this rent. They need to pay on these mortgages. They need to pay all this stuff that I'm paying. Because friends help out every now and then, yo. I mean, let's just keep it real. Yeah. Like, if I'm taking you out, this is a crazy relationship. If I'm always paying, you ain't no friend of mine. If you can't contribute, what kind of benefit are you giving me? Like, something. give me some water or something. Something needs to be done. But I mean, that's just what it is. And unfortunately, a lot of these parents out here want to be their children's friend. And you also touched on the fact is I don't take advice from people who haven't done anything that I've done. Like, if you never baked a cake, why am I taking baking lessons from you? So if you don't have kids, why am I taking advice from you if you don't have kids? Because it's real easy to play Monday morning quarterback until you really get smacked in your face by a 350-pound lineman. Then you see why he ain't get up and why he ain't throw that ball. It's a little bit different when it happens to your house. So, like I said, unless you didn't actually experience it for yourself, I mean, and that's sometimes I really think that people they judge without thinking, or they talk without realizing what's going on. Like, you don't really know people's situation or what's going on, but in order for me to sit here and pass judgment on you without knowing your life story or walking in your shoes, that's disrespectful. I find it to you and your walk, because you've been through a totally different situation like me. And that's why I try not to judge people, because I'm not perfect. But when it comes to my household and my kids, I am 100% responsible what happens on the outside. I don't want to be that parent who say that, oh my God, they were so good and I don't know what happened. God dang, you know what happened because you didn't lay down the foundation. Now, every once in a while, things do go left, and you can give your kid everything in their possible world, and they still get hooked up with the wrong friends. They get hooked up with the wrong crowd. They get involved in, stuff they shouldn't get into. That stuff does happen. But, I got 3 brothers. My father raised 4 boys, and I can happily say we don't smoke, we don't drink. Maybe because he worked in a jail. And every time we would act up, he would take us to work. And we weren't talking about no country club jail. We was talking about a maximum security jail. And he would just let us walk around.
That'd be enough for me.
So it was scared straight without the cameras. So obviously we could. Our father worked there, but he would literally like, "Oh, you want to act up? Oh, Tony, yeah, walk around with my son and talk to him." Tony big as a mug. Tony in this strength for freaking armed robbery. Damn, what you doing? But 4 sons, and I think maybe 3 or 4 of us got speeding tickets. That's it. We don't play it. No. So we learned real quick where we ended up because our father was like, I ain't got time to keep preaching to y'all. If y'all don't get it, I'm going to show you what the end result is going to be. Hang out with Big Tony. Yeah, I ain't hanging out with Big Tony.
The funny thing, one reason why I like this show is that we got multi-generational representation. We got Nick, 30. We got Tim, 38. We got the preacher in his mid-40s. We got Ron about to be knocking on the door 5 decades and 5 decades here. So here's another thing that doesn't happen. This is Black leadership. We don't, as a tribe, communicate with the younger generation and the older generations like we used to do. You could go to the family reunion and the grandpa and the uncle will sit down and just give you that knowledge. Or you know what I'm saying? It's devoid in this community, in this culture now. That's part of the cancel culture purposely, that they don't want you to have that wisdom instilled into you from the tribe that protects the community. And that's why I like what you're doing, Tim, with your foundation, is that you're going back into the community and you serving people. Because when we're young, we're gonna make stupid mistakes, man. We all do. And when I was in my senior year of high school, I had a brand new Camaro trying to show out for some chicks, man, down in Hyde Park, Ron. And it's raining, and I hit the gas and try to take this sharp turn and crash up the car, man. And my uncle is a detective, and I did a hit and run, man. I got up, I panicked, I didn't know what to do. I drove off. Then I thought about that ass whooping that I was gonna get from my uncle, my other uncle, my grandfather, and my mother, and I came right back to the scene.
Oh, okay.
And locked me up. This was during lunch at my senior high school. And you know what? They take me right to the precinct where my uncle is. Damn. Can you imagine that, bro? I can't make this stuff up. But that fear.
Not even.
You know what I'm saying? So he put that wax on me, and I was more afraid of what my grandmother was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, "Well, you know, we gonna tell it because you at my precinct." He was like, "Do you know how you embarrassing me?"
Yeah.
That one time, I made a dumb mistake. I'm trying to show out to this chick, just got a brand new Camaro and all this crap, and I'm trying to impress her. But because I did have a strong black man in my life, I didn't make that same mistake twice.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in that regard, back there, I could have been canceled because I was up here trying to impress somebody over silly stuff.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And that silly stuff now is Pandora's box on these mediums. And all I'm saying is, hey man, know what the purpose of them having this cancel culture. What is the economics behind it? Follow the money.
You know, it's funny you say that, DJ, because I'm the last generation that grew up essentially without access to the internet, right? Every generation after me has had high-speed internet. Like when we got the internet, it was the AOL CDs. Y'all remember those AOL CDs?
Oh man, it was a net zero. What you talking about?
Oh yeah, net zero.
Net zero, the Juno mail, right?
Right.
And one of the reasons why, you know, we kind of got away with a lot of the dumb stuff that we did is because there wasn't an internet, you know? There wasn't that 24-hour media, if you will, that can essentially expose you to the world. And I talk to my son about that all the time. I'm like, son, everything you say and do on social media can come back to bite you. You can say something as a 12-year-old, and then when you get ready to run for office 20 years from now, 30 years from now, that's what you want to do. Or you get ready to start applying for certain schools that you want to go to. Like they can research it. Like how many times have we seen a student athlete, you know, say some off the wall comments on Twitter as a 14-year-old, then they get offered this big scholarship to a D1 school. And then somebody pulls up those old tweets of them just having a good time with their friends. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm the last generation that didn't have the internet like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we, you know, when you had, you know, I'm laughing at your story about the Camaro because I have a similar story where I ran into one of those little concrete trash cans at a 7-Eleven trying to show out. Right? And I was laughing at your story because you were either damned if you do or damned if you don't, right? If you would have,
right. I was in no man's land.
You was in no man's land, but you had those people in your life that weren't going to allow you to get away with that foolishness. And what I noticed with a lot of our boys is they don't. I made a post today, and I want you guys to weigh in on this if you can. I said one of the hardest things about operating a nonprofit organization geared towards Black boys is finding a good child therapist. Because most of the child therapists, one, it's not that many men, but two, a lot of them have vitriol towards Black men. Like people will recommend a therapist for our children because we pay for our kids to go to therapy. And I'll just go to their Twitter page and they're just crapping on Black men. You know what I'm saying? And these are not, I'm not going to beat up my people, but these are white folks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, how am I going to send a child who needs help to a person that would overlook him if they were on the streets or would label him as a criminal or as the bane of society in a tweet? Like we're damned if we do, damned if we don't.
You're right.
So it's so important for the men to step up and say, I got this. Like, I'm going to be in this kid's life. And that's why we surround our boys with so many different men from different walks of life so they can see different shades of Black men, like whether it's being an entrepreneur or whether it's being somebody that's a philanthropist, or maybe you're into politics, or maybe you're an attorney or a doctor. Like boys need to see more men and need to understand that these men are going to hold them accountable when they wreck in the Camaro or run into the trash can.
You know, that's a perfect segue to Nick, because Nick is actually living that life. Nick is a rare unicorn. He's actually a Black man English teacher in the high school, public school system. Nick, man, chime on in. And this thing I love about Nick here is that he has the wisdom to sit up here and just listen to all this knowledge from people that live twice as long as him almost, instead of chiming in right off the grip. That's another thing about cancel culture. We got an opinion before we even know anything. One thing my little son said when I told him about, hey man, you messing up, he was like, well, Dad, I said, did I tell you to speak? I said, just like preacher said, unless you paying the bills here, son, you don't have a right to speak because you already messed up. You didn't ruin that name on the back of the jersey. Because mom calling me saying, oh, mom is a chemistry teacher and a math teacher and runs the whole department for one of the top schools. And mom's trying to teach you how to study, but you telling mom, no. Let's roll that back, bro. One, you ain't gonna say that to me. Two, you ain't gonna say that to your mama again. You see what I'm saying?
So Del, everybody keeps hitting on the one common denominator, man, and things have changed, right? And we can come up with a number of reasons on why they
Principles don't change, Ron.
But here's what I'm saying. Things have changed in this regard. Community, like everything we're saying is community. When we grew up, there was community, right? Because in general, we all grew up in the same neighborhoods, right? Because of the economic situations of our parents at the time. Again, most of us had humble beginnings, right? So it took a community to raise a child at that time, right? Absolutely. You keep referencing an uncle. We keep referencing Big Mama, Grandmama, or the neighbor across the street that had his eye through the window looking at us, watching us once we got off the bus, and then calling mom to say we threw the rocks through the window. There was like a community, right? What happens is you have a generation that says, hey, I want my kids to grow up better, right? So they work hard and they put us in a situation where we get an education. And then we take that education to earn a better lifestyle. And that lifestyle affords us the opportunity to remove ourselves from our community, right? You see where I'm going with that, Leonard Ray? Remove ourselves from the community. So we face a different dynamic. I hate to say it, but out of sight, out of mind. How often do we allow ourselves to go back to those community and figure out how we grow that community, how we pour back into that community, how we add value to that community, right? That's the difficulty. Because I would say to you, I don't know if we relate to that community anymore because it's so removed and that generation is so young. You understand what I'm saying? So I would say our responsibility, and you heard me say this 1,000 times, we must start at home. Right. So that gets back to what you're saying. We must raise our kids to be the best examples. Right. So it starts at home. So that's within our reach. However, we cannot be held without accountability. I would say, if there are programs, Tim, to your point, that need specifically African-American men, we absolutely need to be more involved. I know that's a void. Right. I don't know specifically in psychology, but there's other ways that we can touch these kids and leave an impression on them.
It's real simple.
I know that for a fact.
Only person that can raise a black boy to a black man
is a man.
Is a black man.
Correct. So that's the void.
You know what I'm saying? Void. I mean, if by happen chance there is no black man there, then the next step up is the black woman. You feel me? Yeah. It ain't the white man or the white woman. And here's the tie back when we first open up. Once we make it out of the impoverished urban environment and live in the suburbs, which is what you're talking about, Ron, we now start to fit in their lens and see ourselves from their perspective instead of having pride that, you know what, I'm just as good, if not better than you, because I only see myself through my lens.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to fit in your box. And I remember this when I went to school when the Cosby Show was big. So I go out to a PWI, predominantly white institution in college, and they ain't never seen no brothers, right? And all of a sudden, they like, oh man, you got all these resources and all this stuff. Oh, we thought you, look, mofo, you ain't nothing but, pardon my French, you are less educated than I am. You got less resources, but you trying to fit me in a box that you saw on a damn television. So if I don't have confidence that was instilled in me from my uncle and my dad, I'm going to immediately fit in their box and be like, oh yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You know, but to my point, Nick, chime in here, brother, because you in the system. Talk to us. And then after you chime in, we're going to take this last break, and then we're gonna come up and wrap up this show. Because man, this is stuff need to be heard and said to our people. Because if not, cancel culture in this today's society, it's gonna eradicate and extinguish the black man. And we already see the feminization of the black male because there's the void of a real black man throughout their lives. So what talk to us, Nick?
Yeah. So I can touch on, you know, being in the system and working in education, but I want to pull it back to the genesis first, you know, and talk about this cancel culture thing and as it ties to black leadership. So first of all, I'm going to apologize to all of you, you know, in those preceding generations, because more than likely, cancel culture was probably an invention of someone from my generation. I mean, I don't know if I had the evidence to prove that, but most of the bullshit that we getting on the internet is coming from people from my generation or the generation behind.
Yes.
So
You're damn right. Because we ain't got time to think about no nonsense like that. Yeah.
Right. Tell the truth, shame the devil.
Yeah. So I'll say that first. The next thing I'll say is that education piece, and also what Ron, what you said about being quick to talk before you having the proper knowledge and the proper wisdom, and that's where that leadership comes in. So I think about the Socratic triple filter, I think it's called. So Socrates, he was with one of his students, right? His student comes to him and tells them, a friend of yours says something bad about you. You know, like, don't you care about that? And then he asked him 3 questions. He said, is it true what he said about me? Is it positive or is it good what he said about me? And then he said, is it useful what he said about me? So if you can answer yes to those 3 questions, then you should tell me. But if you're answering no to any of those questions or all those questions, don't say it. And I think we can apply, so that applies to gossip and backbiting, but we can also apply that to cancel culture, because with the lack of education, we have people, mixing up and not being able to tell the difference between holding someone accountable for something they should be held accountable for and something that's actually true and useful, but you just don't like it. It just hurts your feelings, Mm-hmm. So there's a clash going on with that, because you got people on one side saying, well, speaking facts, this is something that's useful, and these are people that's getting canceled. But on the other side, they're saying, oh, we're not being overly sensitive. We're just holding you accountable for offending us.
Right.
And when that black leadership comes in, we teach our youth the proper education to distinguish between those two, and also to be stronger, because I noticed, I'm old enough to be in that generation with the AOL disc, but I'm also young enough to grow up in the transformation of the internet, and I noticed how the generations, especially of black men, became weaker over time, and things that didn't hurt us before, and I'm saying us as a collective, not us on this panel, that used to hurt us before, we're easily bruised by now, that feminization. So that black leadership, that correct, proper black leadership gives us, teaches us that strength, and it teaches us that proper knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in that order, 1, 2, 3 in the supreme mathematics. So we're not trying to cancel someone over some petty shit, some small shit.
Because most of the time that's what it is.
I mean, but that's why we have the murder rate and the shooting rate has been outrageous, in the last couple of years. I mean, it's like, get out the house because you've been locked up with corona, and now you getting babies shot 2 and 3 years old in their house,
Right.
like literally in their house.
Yeah.
We're not talking about them on the street at 11 o'clock, but they shooting up the neighborhood so much that it's hitting kids that's in the house. I'm just like, what the hell are we doing? See, we didn't grow up in that generation, first of all.
Nah.
If you know, like the pettiness, or you know, you're sitting there and you really concerned about what people think. I don't give a crap what you think about me, because I always tell people, for real, are you paying my bills?
Mm-hmm.
It's really simple to me. Do you pay my bills? I know you don't, because you can't. It's just that simple.
Mic drop.
I'm done with it. So, but now you have these individuals, these shells of men who, oh man, you know, he said something about me on Twitter. What?
Yeah. And then I'm gonna argue with him on Twitter.
Like, dude,
I'm gonna go back and forth with him on Twitter.
He in another state.
You didn't gaslit him.
Yeah, like you really upset about what somebody said to you who's never seen you face to face, like never.
Right.
But
it's different.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Different,
yeah. Go ahead, Ron. You were about to say something?
Because we said something about cancel culture, and so here's what I'm trying. What do we mean when we say that? That's what I want to understand. When we say cancel culture, it's I've got an opinion, someone disagrees with me, so they suggest within their circle of influence that they don't want to follow me anymore on social media. Is that what we mean by cancel culture?
What I mean literally is that, and I'll give you 2 examples. Kevin Hart was given the chance to be the host of the Oscars.
Yeah.
He said something about the Alphabet Mafia about 12 years ago.
Yep.
And somebody dropped it, and then they canceled. That's a gig, economics. Okay.
Yes, gotcha.
The guy who just replaced Alex Trebek for Jeopardy.
Yeah.
He said something in a tweet about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The most sought after show on television, Jeopardy, this guy beat out everybody. And because he said something wrongfully 10, 12 years ago, somebody went in, just like Tim said, pulled it up, and all of a sudden, the Alphabet Mafia, we can't have him rep. Dude, that was 10, 12 years ago. Did he apologize? Was he contrite? Or did he had repentance for what he said?
Yeah.
But immediately, the economics, when I'm talking about cancel culture, it will shut you down economic and ruin your life where you got to go run and hide.
Understood.
And so that guy on Jeopardy, they took him off of Jeopardy, but he was also executive producer. And so they left him executive producer at Sony. And then the people's like, well, man, we don't feel comfortable if he's executive producer. He's behind the scenes. But they were adamant about we taking him off this grip because we going to punish him financially and ruin his life and make him a pariah of society. Them same clowns.
Nothing about this guy. Nothing about this guy.
Exactly.
Like, he's been on the show like for years doing a great job. Now all of a sudden, over.
What they do? It was literally like that. They didn't have a problem, but when he got that coveted role in Hollywood, and he wasn't down with the Alphabet Mafia, they was like,
yeah, that's some BS there.
Real talk.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about your economics at that level for something so dated. Come on, man. If everybody, Tim, you said it earlier, if everyone had cameras when we all grew up,
man,
and captured it on video,
none
of us would be employed today.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, and that's the thing right there. Like the thing is to cause catastrophic
and it's purposely.
And it's like it's with every circle. It's whoever has power, right? So whoever controls, the power dictates what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And I feel like as Black men, we have to start creating our own power structure economically, because when you create your own power structure, no one can take anything away from you.
Yeah.
And even if they attempt to take it away from you, it's gonna you're gonna have such a big support from people that rock with you that they can't. You know, and I'll use a good example with the politics in our nation. You know, when former President Trump, when he announced that he was running for president, I told my wife, I said, he's going to win. And she's like, why do you say that? I said, because he has a following. And when you have a following, it doesn't matter what platform you stand on, people are going to follow you. And that's essentially what happened. And even now that he's been out of office, he's still extremely relevant to his base, right? Yeah. So I use that as an example to say, when you have a following and you have a base and you have structure, then you're somewhat insulated from criticisms from people who may try to counsel you, because you have people that are saying, well, no, this is something that we believe in. And then just give you an example, but too often the people who are getting counseled are people who are dependent on that same system. Mm-hmm. And when you're dependent on a system, you know, to provide for you, then they dictate what you can and cannot say. I think somebody in the comments put, most of these people are controlled by these systems, and you define that how you want to. But when you put yourself in a position, someone said, you can't pay my bills. Like when you put yourself in a position where people can't really touch you because you got your own thing, then it's impossible for people to come after you and counsel you. They can sling mud on you, but after time, people will move on to the next thing and you're good.
Exactly. Agency. So with that said, we're going to come back and summarize, get each one's opinion in closing, but we're going to take a break. You're watching right now, Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy, and we'll be right back after this word from our sponsor to wrap this up.
Guys, here we go. We live in the lifestyle, making it happen. The dream is real. I'm here with my number one guy on the planet, man that makes everything happen. Wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here enjoying this awesome vacation. That's friendship right there. I think it's 10, 12 years. Yes, sir. So let me tell you guys, only 4 things you got to do. It's real simple. Number 1, you got to have discipline. Number 2, you got to actually be accountable. Number 3, you got to plug into a system. I don't know what system you have, but you got to plug into a system. And then the most important thing is you got to do the work, baby. Because this right here, this is 36 months, 5 years to actually have it the right way and do it right where it doesn't go away. And it's actually me and my homeboy, this is the second time in a row that we've come here, last year and this year, and it only gets better with time. So also remember this, guys. If you master the hard things in life, as you get older, life gets very easy. If you master the easy things in life and try to shortcut the shortcut, life gets extremely hard. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it almost becomes hell because you have not built the right foundation and you shortcut the shortcut in the microwavable society in the internet world, and you have cheated yourself. So with that said, I want you guys to look. Hey, that's the pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And we want you to come join us on the beaches of the World Club, because my partner tell you, everywhere he travels, it's got to be a what? Real talk. This brother don't go nowhere that don't have a beach. So, hey, this is DJ the Money Coach. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. And guess what? Get that ABCs of wealth, the common sense strategy, achieve an American dream, and we'll help you build it. God bless.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. You're watching Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. And we're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to give everybody a chance to give their, 2 cents, as my grandmother used to say, on what their, summarization of Black leadership in a cancel culture society, father to son. And I think we're going to do a part 2 to this, because this is so important, because this is the core foundation for your 3rd, 4th, 5th generation. If there's only way for evil to persist is for good men and women to do nothing. I'm going to say that again. Only way for evil to persist is for good women and men to do nothing. Somebody got to stand up again. I ain't going to bring the game to you. But if you come knocking on my door with that drama, I'm going to bring the silence to you. So who wants to start us off and wrap this up? And then we'll be out of here because it's been an amazing show, man. Appreciate you guys.
Well, I'll just say that I enjoyed listening to the dialogue. I think it's important to have these conversations, not to put yourself in conversations where people agree with you 100% of the time, or people are going to be yes men to you. Like it's healthy to have dialogue with people, one, that you don't know, and two, that you may not share the same opinion with. And it's okay to walk away from that dialogue, still having respect for people, even though you may or may not disagree on things. So I enjoyed the conversation. It was good chopping it up with you fellas tonight. You know, you guys feel free to follow me at Tim Jackson now on Instagram and Twitter. I operate a nonprofit called Real Youth Mentoring, and I have a book that's titled Real Dope, an in-depth comparison between real estate and the dope game. It's on Amazon. 100% of the proceeds go to fund Real Youth Mentoring. So check us out, and hopefully we can be of assistance to you. And I appreciate you for bringing me on, DJ.
Yeah, hey, real quick, Tim, tell us a little bit more about your foundation, man, because it's important, because that's Black leadership at the core, brother. Take
Sure.
60 seconds.
I'll take 60 seconds to tell you what Real Youth Mentoring is. It stands for Resurrecting Education and Leadership. We teach young boys how to be productive, responsible citizens within their community, teach them how to give back to the community once they leave. 100% of our boys graduate the program with a 700 plus credit score and a business plan. If they go to a trade school or community college, we'll give them a full ride scholarship. We just teach them about debt and learning how not to get into debt, finding their purpose in life. Like I said, the book Real Dope, I wrote it back in 2016. I don't make a dime off that book. 100% of the proceeds go toward funding that program. We are a registered nonprofit, so if you want to visit us at www.realyouthmentoring.org, you can sign up to be a donor and support the movement.
Hey, Nick, put that on the screen for us real quick. Get that to us again slowly, Tim.
Let me put in the chat for you. It's www.realyouthmentoring.com, and I just put it in the chat as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, .org.
Nick, put that up there for us, man, because that's the important part. Because again, what is Black leadership in a cancel culture society, father to son? It's this examination of a man who's giving back to the community. He's not taking one dime from the non-for-profit, 100%. And again, man, you have these non-for-profits, these foundations where they take 90% of the proceeds and put that money in their pocket and then give the 10%. I ain't gonna name none, but you know who I'm talking about. What happened in Haiti? What happened here during Hurricane, Katrina? Major multi-billion-dollar organizations that took the money, put it in their pocket, and then they disseminated about 10%. Like in Haiti, they built 2 homes when they said they built like 1,000 homes.
Well, you know, ain't no Black organization gonna be able to do that. Law enforcement happens with us first. So, we clean as a man. We clean it in as a whistle, as my grandpa would say. So,
yeah,
a lot of people count our money, and I'm cool with that because but that ain't no Black organizations doing that. You already know that would have been front page.
absolutely.
Ron B, what you got for us, brother? What you got for us? What's your summarization of this amazing topic, Black leadership and the cancel culture society, father to son, in your case, father to daughter?
Yeah, and for me, it's just, you heard me say this 1,000 times. It's important to start at home, right? Be the example at home. That's where you start. It doesn't matter if you've got a son or daughter, be the example that they emulate, and then be present, right? Be present, because again, that's what we're saying. There's a void, generally speaking, of African-American men within our community. So it's important that we are present. You start at home, and if you have the time, which seems like it really should be something that we do, and that is make time to continue to uplift our communities. So get involved, right? Whatever is important to you, get involved and be present. And then the other thing, I'm gonna be really simple with it. Like, as I age, I realize what's really most important to me. And I'm going to focus my time, energy, effort, and resources on those things. And then everything else, that button in the elevator that's got LL on it, like the two L's, the lower level, I'm leaving all that other shit at the lower level because this elevator's going up. And not everybody's going to make that trip. So if I offend you, I'm leaving you at the lower level because I understand how I live my life, right? And I'm a very spiritual person, morally correct person. I don't bother anybody. I do my business and I keep it moving. So if there's something that I said to you that offends you, then we just have a difference of opinion, and that's simply it. But
What kind of people reach you at, Ron?
Oh shoot, I don't have all that stuff, but it sounds like I should probably get a lot of that.
Yeah, we get
a lot of my stuff. We're gonna have that next time, Dale. So we
next time. Preacher. Always
let me know.
Bring it home for us, preacher. Bring it home for us, preacher.
It is always a pleasure to come on here and just to talk amongst friends and kind of chop it up. It's being able to talk about the things that's not politically correct, or the things that most people are not going to bring up because you kind of piss off a couple of people. Like it is what it is. As far as with the topic, it's so true. Piggybacking off of Ron, a lot of this stuff is going to start at home. You really have to pay attention. If you can sit there and spend 20, 30 minutes making these kids, at least spend 20, 30 minutes trying to educate them, to get them prepared for life and what's going on out there. And if I could give tickets to people who are just unfit parents, I probably wouldn't have enough space. I run out of paper. Like it is what it is. Because real talk, somebody gonna raise your kid, and whether it be you or somebody else, and that's just what it is. And in my house, I want it to be me, because I want the word teaches us, those he loves, he chastises. So if I love my kids like I say I love my kids, and I provide for my kids like I want to provide for my kids, I'm gonna be the one to correct them, because I'm doing it because I love them, not because somebody else is telling them what they should be, because they don't care two rocks about these people. Mm-hmm. So if you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're stepping out of your biological obligation, we mentor kids. We sponsor every classroom that my daughter and my son has ever been in. We've made sure we provided for that entire classroom. And as I was telling Dale this week, I'm daddy daycare week with me. So my daughter started school, and when I walked into her classroom, every last one of those kids got up and, tried to come to me. I was like, yo, COVID. But they knew the respect. They knew the respect because they've seen me over the years. Right. Now, these are people who I've bought uniforms for. These are people who I've bought tennis shoes for. These are people who don't have to worry about school supplies, because I put my money where the mouth is. Like, if you're going to be around my kid, I want to make sure that that's just what it is. And, being that you have people who step out there and, make those sacrifices and do those things, and not just, fluff talk, but actual real work, that's just what it is. So if you do have the availability to raise your kids the way you should be raising them, that's great. And if you have the flexibility, the time frame, the financial, prowess to be able to help somebody else get there, that's even better. And how you can go ahead and benefit and, change somebody's life. Because I think each and every individual on this panel, we had somebody who did this same thing for us.
Yeah.
Now, it could have been, like you said, the neighbor. It could have been an uncle. It could have been, Joe, the police officer down the street. There's somebody who went ahead when we were going down the wrong way and pulled our collar and said, young man, sir, brother, son, whatever the situation is, there's a better way. And for me, there was a mentor. For you, it could have been somebody else, but it's a situation where that person probably saved my life.
Yeah.
And that's just real talk. So if you have a opportunity to save someone else's life who could become a doctor who cures cancers, or who could become a future CEO of a company, or a future president, and all because you didn't step up to the plate, the onus is on you.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Yes, sir.
Real talk. Nick, what you got for us, man? What you got for us, brother?
Yeah. So like as always, excellent build with the brothers here. Enjoyed it as always. And I echo what Ron said. It starts with that man or woman in the mirror. Like what Michael Jackson said, and then it just branches out from there. You start with that man or woman in the mirror, then your immediate family, then your neighborhood, then your city, your state, your country, and then if you aspire to change the world, then you think huge and go for the world. But it starts with you, and yes, we are fighting in an uphill battle. It's not going to be easy. There's a lot of undoing and re-education that needs to be done. But if we apply those principles and all those dirty words that DJ likes to use, we can use it. And I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.
Hey man, with that said, I'm gonna throw my little short 2 cents in. But first and foremost, I want to thank you fellas for committing to come on to the platform to show brothers from every age group and every generation that we can actually communicate, get along, and we can agree to disagree amicably, and not put hands on nobody, because that's what cowards do. Cowards put hands on people. You know what I'm saying? A real man walks away from things because he knows there's a better way to actually get things accomplished. So first thing I would do, stop trying to go to hands. That's what cowards do. All right, that's the first thing I got to say. That ain't leadership. Brutality ends in nothing but more brutality. Okay, so that's what I want to share with people in that regard. The most important thing is, I think we got to continue to invest and give back to our community, like Tim does, like the preacher does, because a lot of times when we make it, that's success. But you need to live to be significant, which means you bring somebody else up to the top of the mountain, and the mountaintop is unlimited. But we're taught that the mountaintop is only good for one special Negro. And when you get there, be all, covered up and don't share the secrets with people. It's actually the opposite. God told us to, spread the gospel to everybody. And if you can save one person, you might save hundreds and thousands of people, and I'll leave it like this. I don't get into politics and religion, but I will say this. If one man could actually get 1 billion people to follow him, it only takes one man or woman to do the right thing when it's not popular. And that's leadership in of itself. Do you have the ability to stand in the gap when it's not popular? Check yourself at the door, and the first person you got to lead is yourself. Be in relentless pursuit of perfection, but perfection is the enemy of great. But try to be morally based and try to be the best you can be, is what Robert Kiyosaki says, do, be, have. Who do you want to be in the future? Be that person right now, today. And the way you can do that, again, is with those 4 dirty little words. Number 1, discipline yourself, or like preacher said, somebody's going to discipline you. I'm not going to let somebody else create the morals, ethics, and principles for my children. As long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to be that guy. The second thing, have accountability. This is accountability. I can call the preacher and say, hey, preacher, you got the right because you earned it. Shoot me straight and get me on the right point. I ain't going to take it personal because I know you got love for me and my family. And I'm going to be able to do the same thing for Ron. Ron, you need me to shoot you straight them 27 years we got? I'm going to shoot you straight because we got love. Then we're going to be able to do that with Tim. You call, hey, man, I'm going to say, Tim, do I have permission to share some nuggets with you? If you say no, then I'm going to keep my 2 cents to myself. You know what I'm saying? And then with Nick, I'm just saying, hey, Nick, man, hey man, keep these 2 ears open. Let's this and come in and absorb this and then pass it down. To me, that's black leadership. And when you have black leadership like that, ain't no such thing as a cancel culture. Because like Tim said, you can't cancel me if you can't reach me and you can't touch me, because I own myself. And if we just do that and apply these principles and try to be the best we can be in the future, our children are only going to do what they see. They're not going to do what we speak. But in this cancer culture, they are, affected by this because that's what all the sheeple are doing. And they run into herd mentality. So I'm fortunate to be blessed with these relationships. And at the end of the day, the buck stops here in my house. And if I want to be about it, I got to be it through discipline, accountability. I got to plug into a system. Then I got to go to work, baby. And the best work we can do is on ourselves at the end of the day. So you've been watching Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. And like we always say, we in our show the same way every time. We wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And we want you to come travel with us on the beaches of the World Club, because money ain't everything. But being 100% you is better than being a second-rate copy of somebody else. I'm DJ the Money Coach. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you like this. And if you want a topic that you want us to talk about, drop it in the comments, and we'll talk about it and be about it. God bless, and we'll see you next time on the same channel.
Awesome. Thank you, brothers.
Hi, so this is a testimonial for DJ the Money Coach. First of all, I got one of the best packages that you had, so that was A1. I love the team. They have really come through. You were amazing as a coach. Every week you showed up on time. Every single week. And trust me, I've been in a lot of courses, a lot of classes, spent a lot of money. And unfortunately, some people don't do what they say that they're going to do as a coach.
Salutations to all. My name is Alhamdulillah Ali. I'm 37 years old. I've worked in the public service sector in the DMV, also known as DC, Maryland, and Virginia, for about 14 years. And I'm just here to give my commentary about the 7 Spheres of Money program. It's amazing. It's awesome. DJ has a logical, practical, and objective approach to personal and business economics. This is what you need. If you are serious about having that generational wealth that's beyond the hashtag, I encourage you to get involved so that you also can have the pom-pom lifestyle.
And I want to say we would not be able to do this without the personal assistance of DJ. He has truly provided us financial help as well as coaching so that we can thrive ourselves as an institution. DJ has always, since the day I met him many years ago when I first started educating his oldest son, who's now a sophomore in college, DJ has always provided information, knowledge, and support to Know Thyself Academy so that we can grow and expand and continue to do what we do.
DJ has experience with private investing. He has experience with working with small businesses, mid-sized, large businesses, startups as well. Really passionate about money, passionate about generation wealth, passionate about estate planning, willing to work with the community to see them enhance their quality of life. He's done over thousands of educational workshops. He's very passionate about seeing people having a chance to win at life and leaving something, a legacy behind for their family. I trust this guy because I've seen him in person. I've seen him work. I've seen the results and watched him in action. So if it's about money, it's about growing your business, it's about having an impact on the community, DJ's your guy.
As a Black woman founder of a global tech startup, I personally recommend DJ the Money Coach because he met me where I was. He gave me a chance to show them what I could do. You can trust DJ because he has an incredible, ever-expanding network, an impressive background in finances, and the expertise in navigating how to raise capital. Take advantage of the Seven Spheres money management system, and I guarantee you an unmatched, life-changing experience. Or as DJ would say, you can start living your pom-pom lifestyle.
Hey, I just want to give a quick shout out to my guy, DJ. Met him at a real estate networking event in Houston, Texas. From there, we kind of just saw where the synergy was, and he's been helping me along to pitch and to meet new people, to talk about current investment that I have in a 200-unit development deal that me and my team are working on, as well as future endeavors. He's mentored me from the business standpoint, real estate, accounting, taxes, anything you can think of. This guy, rubs his hands or knows somebody or knows of it or has done it before. So just a wealth of knowledge, has introduced me to some of the strongest connections that I've made to date in the real estate world. And just wanted to say thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother.
I'm making this video in reference to working with DJ, the money coach, working with him to help my business grow in this 2021 year, get some things together in reference to tax planning, with his CPA, business coaching, and a financial strategy, doing a 1, 3, and 5 year plan in this 2021, helping me and my business reach higher heights.
I want to give a shout out to DJ, the money coach, and his team for giving me an opportunity for financial freedom. But more importantly, sovereignty. You want sovereignty? Join the money team.
Stop wishing better, start doing better, and move forward with somebody that has not only the knowledge, the skills, the talent, and the team to help you go where you want to go. I'll get more than my money's worth. If I can spend a few grand, several grand on a piece of luggage, I could spend a little bit to get a lot of it in the long run. So if you're thinking about doing better, stop thinking, start doing, and definitely get down with the pom-pom lifestyle.